Hi there, everyone. Um, I'm Catherine and my sister Lorraine. Hello. And we are going to make a couple of recipes today. We were invited by the 4-H Club to demonstrate this with a Zoom meeting. And unfortunately, they had a big snowstorm, ice rain, and everything. So we are doing the video and we're going to send it to you. Some of you were with us 2 years ago when Lorraine and I demonstrated the cinnamon buns. So here goes the cinnamon of the cinnamon buns, because you can't make cinnamon buns. So today we're going to make breakfast scones and breakfast bars. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we have the oven on, and we're going to start by doing the breakfast bars. While the breakfast bars are in the oven baking, we're going to do the breakfast scones.
First of all, when you have a recipe, there's a French expression called mise en place. So that means you want to have everything ready before you start, because you don't want to be going halfway and having to stop and look for things. Do I have this? Do I have that? Everything will be here ready to go. So we're going to be using a small pot, a big bowl. And the other thing with bowls is don't take a small bowl, take a big bowl, because usually we take a small bowl and then we have to transfer it to a big bowl. It's too small. We have a 9x9 pan, and we also have a cookie sheet that we're going to be using. We need a spatula. I love my scale. So you know how hard it is to measure peanut butter in a measuring cup. So what I would do, because we're going to be melting the peanut butter and the honey and the coconut oil, I already have it measured for today, but I would put the pot on the little scale, and then from the container, I would measure the peanut butter, I would put the honey in, and I would put the coconut oil or oil, whatever you're using. And then you just use ounces, because 1 cup is 8 ounces, half a cup is 4 ounces, and a quarter cup is 2 ounces.
No dishes, just one pot.
Yeah, and the measuring cups, like you'd have your whole set dirty, where if you have a scale, you can do it quite easily, put everything in the saucepan, in the little pot.
Lorraine is very organized.
So then another thing that you want to have handy are your measuring cups, because the dry ingredients, you'll use a measuring cup, and they're very easy to get out of the measuring cup. You want your measuring spoons. Another thing you want to make sure is you have a timer. So whether you have it on your stove or on your phone, the first step we're going to be using is only 5 minutes, but you don't want it to burn. So really set the timer. It's going to save you.
Lorraine always asks me if I'm making something, like if Lorraine comes and visits me on the ship, she'll say, "Did you set the timer?" I'm like, "No." And she's always like, "You should set the timer."
Yeah, because we're all easily distracted. So it's nice to have a timer so that you hear the beep and you know that's for me. Parchment paper. We love parchment paper. You don't have to have parchment paper, but it makes the cleanup easier. And it's going to be a lot easier to get this out of the pan with the parchment paper. Cleaning up while you go. We always have soap and water in the sink. Catherine has a dishwasher. I don't. So I have to wash by hand. So whatever you're doing, it's nice to clean up as you go. So once this would be in the oven, if you were doing one thing, while this is baking, you would do your dishes, right? Keep mom happy.
Yeah. Or if you're me, you would invite Lorraine over to help do the cleaning while I'm doing the cooking.
Now, there's a big thing about plastic right now, about heat and plastic. So if you have a metal whisk and you were going to be melting the peanut butter and the honey and the coconut oil, it's better. If you have a plastic whisk, don't leave it in the pot on the stove.
Yeah.
Get a little plate, put it on the side, and every time you stir, take it out, because you don't want any plastic in your food.
Melting in
That's
there.
a big, yeah, that's
Good
a
point.
biggie.
Good point.
So also, we're going to need oven mitts, because we're putting things into the oven. We got to get them out of the oven. Catherine has fun little oven mitts that she loves, and she takes them on the ship with her.
And the thing I like about these when I'm on the ship is I can always find them because they're green. Because if they're a dark color, I'm always looking for oven mitts. So I like to have my green ones. I can see them from a distance.
The other thing is a wire rack. So when it comes out of the oven, don't melt your mom's countertops. Put it on a rack to cool. So the next thing you want to have are your ingredients. So we're making the bars, we have the oats, we have the chopped nuts, we have the raisins, we have the chia, we have Rice Krispies, which I think is a very good ingredient for this recipe. We have coconut oil.
And I just want to say, on the recipe, you can replace the coconut oil with butter if you don't have coconut oil.
Yeah, and you can use cranberries instead of raisins. You can use whatever nuts and seeds you want, whatever you have in the cupboard. Don't go buying stuff. Use what you have.
Yeah.
I love crunchy peanut butter. I only buy crunchy peanut butter. So we're using crunchy peanut butter, honey. We have salt, not measured, and the vanilla.
Okay, and just I want to point out, we use Windsor salt. And anybody who knows that I work on a ship knows that I go to load salt in Windsor. So it's Windsor salt, but it's not the same salt. We load road salt, which is what they put on the roads to for driving. But I always think it's funny to see Windsor salt.
Okay, so now I've ripped off a piece of parchment paper. What you want is to be able to lift your squares out of the pan. So you have to make sure that your parchment paper is big enough so that it sticks out a little bit, so you just pick it up and don't have to stick your fingers in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little dot on each corner. And then we're going to cut out with the scissors. I have scissors handy. So there you can see it fits in perfectly up the sides, and then you've got the paper to lift it out with. So yeah, we're going to set that aside.
And that's ready.
Okay.
No waste.
Also, just on a personal note, for anybody with long hair, you may want to tie your hair back because, if you're making this for friends and family, they may not appreciate if there's possibly, I lose a lot of hair. We don't want it in the food.
Yeah.
And the other thing, to always wash your hands first before you start baking. And the other thing is just roll up your sleeves a little bit so that your clothing stays clean. You can wear an apron. Catherine's got a magnet on her fridge. It says, an apron is just a cape on backwards. So we're superstars, super women, and super kids, and want to perhaps keep our clothes clean, right? So first step for our breakfast bars, I have already measured this, 2 cups of oats. We're going to put it right on the parchment paper.
Okay, why are we toasting the oats?
Well, it just gives it, they say, a nutty flavor.
That's
but,
right.
The recipe said that, but it makes them crispy and delicious.
Yeah. And it brings, and especially with the nuts, it brings the flavor of the nuts out, brings the oils out in the nuts so that you have more flavor in the nuts.
We have today nuts and seeds. We're using pumpkin seeds and we're using hazelnuts, which I chopped, which are very dangerous to chop because they're round and they roll all over the place. So be careful. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to go in the oven for 5 minutes. So we're going to set our timer 5 minutes.
Okay. So while the oats and the nuts are toasting in the oven for 5 minutes, Lorraine is going to put the ingredients in
our big bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 1 cup of Rice Krispies. We have a 1/4 cup of chia seeds.
I love chia seeds.
We love chia seeds. If you don't have them, no biggie.
Yeah.
We have our raisins. Like I said, you can use craisins, you can use chocolate chips, you can use whatever you like.
Yeah, I like raisins.
No problem.
I like cranberries too. Both would be good. And just break them apart like Lorraine is. If they're stuck together a bit, you can just break them apart.
We're going to put the vanilla in at the end. And of course, if you don't mind to put the salt in.
If I'm on the ship, I don't usually use the measuring spoon for the salt. I kind of eyeball it, but I know that Lorraine is more precise with baking, which is why her stuff always comes out perfect. So I might put it in my hand, but with we want this to come out perfect, so I'm going to use a measuring spoon today.
So that we're going to put aside. So now we need to melt these 3 ingredients together on the stove. So it's our honey. And again, if you measured it right into the pot, you wouldn't need to scrape and whatnot,
and then you wouldn't have any dishes to do. So I just wanted to say, when you're melting this on the stove, put it on medium. Like, you should never cook on high, because stuff burns and it's something that is going to melt quickly. So just always set it on medium. And I try not to use high on the stove.
I never use high.
Unless I'm boiling water. Then I will start
you're not going to worry about burning water.
Yeah, exactly.
Other things, because food is so expensive too, I'm sure you've heard. You don't want to throw anything in the garbage. So
that's the coconut.
To be careful. So that was the coconut oil.
Yeah.
It does come in liquid form, but I use the
solid form.
Solid form, yeah. So, and I always scrape off. Normally you wouldn't have the lid, but I'm just going to scrape it off because, again, you don't want to waste anything.
I only had smooth peanut butter at my place, and Lorraine said, no, we're using crunchy. So she brought
buy smooth peanut butter.
I do. So Lorraine prepared the ingredients at her place and brought them over.
Here, I've got my whisk. I'll see you.
So Lorraine is just over at the stove, and she is stirring the pot. Don't leave your peanut butter and honey and coconut oil mixture on its own, because it will burn to the bottom. Peanut butter burns very easily. I learned that lesson when I was making a peanut noodle dish. So always stay close by.
We had toasted our oatmeal and our nuts.
Oh, that does smell good. Recipe. And the reason we chose this breakfast bar to show to you was because they're available in the stores, but they're very expensive. And they have ingredients that you might not want to eat on a daily basis. So having a nice recipe that you can just go to and say, okay, I'm going to make my own, and use whatever nuts you have or whatever raisins or
we want to know what's in our food.
Yeah.
As much as possible. Now, with the parchment paper, it's fun because you can lift it. I should have had a bigger piece, but and then you can just slide it right into the bowl. And I'm just going to pick up the pan.
So that's in the bowl with the Rice Krispies that she had and the raisins and the things.
Don't want to wait. Like I said, don't want to waste anything.
Nope.
So it's all in there now.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm just putting this on the little rack.
So here we go. This is pure vanilla. You can buy artificial vanilla. It's less expensive, but the pure vanilla is a really great product.
Give it a little stir. Smells delicious.
So those ingredients that Lorraine heated in the pot are really smooth now. It's going to make it easy to mix everything together.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to dump it in.
Yeah.
And again, use your spatula. You want to get every drop of that delicious peanut butter, honey, and coconut oil or butter, whichever you're using.
It really smells good.
Yeah.
I love peanut butter.
Yeah, it is delicious.
It is.
Okay, so this is going in the sink. Watch that after. Okay, and then give it a really, right out of the pot.
Okay, now that's how I bake.
How we. Okay, I'll try to be more careful. Till everything's mixed.
That's fine.
Okay, and another thing I like to do when I'm baking is to review the recipe. Did I put everything in? Because I am old and forgetful sometimes, and we want to make sure that, everything ends up in the recipe.
Okay, so we had 2 cups of oats.
Check.
Half a cup of the chopped nuts and seeds.
Yeah.
1 cup of Rice Krispies, a 1/4 cup of chia, and then we had a 1/2 cup of honey, 1 cup of peanut butter, a 1/4 cup of coconut oil, and we had 2 teaspoons of vanilla and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Yeah. So, and again, you want to make sure this is really, I'm like oats are flying everywhere, but yeah, you want to make sure it's really, really well mixed.
Yeah.
So we had the oats and the nuts on a piece of parchment paper. So we're going to be reusing that piece of parchment paper to press these into the 9x9. Okay, so I would say
Looks good.
it's well mixed.
Yeah.
Okay, so need this. We have our 9x9 going in. Let's see if I can do it neatly. Oh, pretty good. And again, the spatula helps a lot. If you're using a spoon, you'd be probably scraping for a while. So in a perfect world, you would have a spatula to use. But, you know, listen, everything works fine. Okay, and I'm just going to knock off all the goodies off the spatula.
So you're spreading it out first.
You're going to spread it out to the corners.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to go get that piece of parchment paper that I had. I think we are done with this. Oops, more goodies. Knock it off. Okay,
Okay, there you go.
So we're going to lay this piece of parchment paper that's already been used, so we're not wasting anything. And we're going to press it really down. Hard. So put all your energy into pushing and pushing and pushing this down because, of course, you're making a bar and you want it to be nice and pinned down.
Yeah, and I've also seen it. I'm just going to. I've also seen it with a bowl.
You use a bowl. And on the edges, use your fingers and press it down so that the edges are going to be nice and.
Okay, what do you think? That looks really solid.
Yeah, it's not moving.
No.
Okay, we're ready for the oven.
Okay,
we're going to take this off.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Okay, so have a little peek.
That's really, yeah, it's very, very solid. I like that. Looks good.
Okay, it's going in. Okay,
how long is it going in for?
25 minutes.
Okay.
At 325.
Okay, perfect. So Lorraine put the breakfast bar into the oven to bake for 25 minutes at 325. While that's in the oven, I'm going to show you the breakfast scones that I make on the ship. So when I make breakfast on the ship, if I don't have a second cook, I have to get up early in the morning. And some ships, the breakfast is at 5 a.m., which means I have to get up at 3:30 so that I have everything ready in time. Drinking coffee always helps to wake me up. So I started making blueberry scones, and they're quick and easy, and it doesn't take a lot of ingredients, and I can get my day started really quickly. I like to have my recipe book open just to refer back to a recipe. Even though I've made it many, many times, it's just good to say, oh yes, I have that. So super easy, doesn't take a lot of pots. The first thing I do, I go, I measure the milk. The recipe calls for buttermilk. I often don't have buttermilk on a ship. So what you do if you don't have buttermilk is you take 1 tablespoon of vinegar per 1 cup of milk. So I'm using 2% milk and I'm pouring my vinegar in.
And you have 1 cup?
And I do. It's a 1.25 cup of milk. So when you put vinegar in your milk, put the vinegar in first and then fill up, because you don't want to put 1.25 cup of milk and then add the vinegar, because then you have too much liquid. 1/4 cup of oil. So this is what I do. And I will just add my 1/4 cup of oil. So, and I'll put this in the sink. Clean as we go.
Yeah.
So I have a large measuring cup, so I put my vinegar in, then I put my milk, and then I put my oil. So I only dirty 1 dish. It's going to take 1 egg in the wet ingredients, but I'm going to wait until it has a moment to make buttermilk. While the milk is setting with the vinegar to make buttermilk, I'm going to measure the dry ingredients. So 2 cups of flour. Then there is 1 tablespoon of sugar. I use 1 tablespoon of sugar for the savory scones and for the sweet scones because it just has a little bit of sweet. 1 tablespoon with the 2 cups of flour doesn't make it sweet. It just adds a little sweetness to it. So I'm putting in 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So, clean as you go. So I'm going to use a fork to stir this around. Like when you make muffins and scones, this particular recipe for scones, there are other scone recipes where they're rolled out, but this one is we're going to use an ice cream scoop to just drop it on the baking tray. This one's super easy, super fast. You don't want to overmix it. So today for the savory scones, I'm going to do a cheese scone. Lorraine grated this cheese for us today to put into the scones. You can buy grated cheese, but when you buy grated cheese, it has a coating on it so that it won't stick together. It's not just cheese anymore, it's cheese with a coating. So I suggest you buy a block of cheese and grate your own, and then that way you have just cheese in your recipe. And it wasn't hard to grate it, was it?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
We have a nice grater, and I used it today. It has a fine grate, a large grate, and of course a slicer, and then of course for zesting.
So you're going to put your cheese in, and you're going to just mix it around with the fork so that now the cheese has a coating.
Is that one cup of cheese?
Yeah.
1 cup of grated cheese.
Yeah. So now.
And any cheese of your choice, like
Yeah.
Swiss or whatever you like.
Exactly. So now we have our milk and our oil in here, which the milk has a little bit of vinegar. We're adding 1 egg. Never add your egg directly into a pot or a cup or whatever with any other ingredients because you want to make sure.
Or crack your egg on the edge because a shell could fall in.
Yeah. So you always want to crack your eggs into a bowl on the side. And I'm going to just like whisk this one up a little bit because it'll be easier to mix it all together. And you're going to add that to the milk. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you're just going to mix that together. And then you're going to make a little well in your flour and cheese.
So that just means you're going to make like a little hole.
Yeah, where we're going to pour.
And the liquid's going to go in the hole.
That's right.
Thank you.
And then you're going to take your fork around the edges and just kind of mix it together. Because again, you don't want to overmix this. You want it to be nice and light and fluffy.
And a fork is good. I wouldn't use a whisk because all the ingredients are going to be stuck inside the whisk. So you want to use something flat. And could you ever use a spatula or use a fork?
I would use a fork.
Use a fork.
Yeah. So you want to just mix it enough where the liquid is in the flour and it's well incorporated. And you don't see the flour when you're mixing it. You know what I mean? Like that. So you might think, wow, this is really a thick dough. But it is because we want the dough to stand on its own. So.
And you want to go right to the bottom of your bowl because sometimes there's flour in the bottom and you want to make sure that right down to the bottom, give it a good stir.
Yeah.
Are scones sensitive to overstirring?
Yes, you don't want to overstir it.
So yeah, that's it. There has to be a happy balance, not to overdo it.
Yeah.
A cookie sheet.
A cookie sheet.
And again, we love parchment paper, but if you don't have parchment paper, that's fine.
Not a problem. So
I would not use aluminum foil.
No.
I would just put it on the pan then.
Yeah. So we're going to use the, I like to use an ice cream. I like to use an ice cream scoop so that everything is uniform in size. And then the reason you want it uniform in size is so that it bakes evenly and everything at the same time.
No, because then people will fight over the biggest scone.
That's true too.
That way they're all the same size.
But Mom has always said in the bowl of apples,
Yeah.
always take the largest apple first.
There will always be a largest apple.
Yeah. I think of that saying often. The purpose of these savory scones today, we're going to bake them, and then we're going to slice them so that you can put an egg in or egg and sausage and have like a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah, so instead of using an English muffin, like for an Egg McMuffin, we're using delicious homemade these scones.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the same concept. You're going to bake them, you're going to slice them in half, and then you're going to put whatever you like, bacon and egg or whatever inside, so that you have a delicious breakfast.
Yeah. So I'm putting these out on here.
And I have a question. If you don't have parchment paper, would you spray?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so you're going to give your pan a little spray or put some grease down for the scones so they don't stick.
There's something about homemade, like homemade always tastes better. So just wet your fingers a little bit and look how nice and easy it is to flatten these out. So I know that I'm going to be doing a disc, an egg disc. So I'm trying to make them round, and I have round sausage patties. So I'm getting these ready for the oven. And as soon as the breakfast bars come out, we're going to put in these beautiful breakfast scones. I wanted to mention parchment paper is expensive. So if I'm baking a scone on the parchment paper, I've already used this parchment paper to bake scones, but they come off and they don't leave anything on the paper, so I reuse them. Same thing on the ship. I have parchment paper on the ship, and I will reuse it because I don't ever want to run out of parchment paper.
I do that when I'm baking cookies too.
Yeah.
I'll put them in the oven, put them on the rack, and put more raw cookie dough on the same one, and just keep using the same paper. You don't have to put a new one each time.
Yeah. So I made 6 of the savory scones with the cheese flat so that we can make breakfast sandwiches. But I'm also going to make some that are going to just be to eat as a cheese scone on the side. So with these, I would just scoop them onto the parchment paper, and I would let them rise so that they're nice and fluffy. So I also have measured out, I made half the recipe to show you the fruit scones and the sweeter scones and what I would do with that. Okay. Oh yeah.
And what I would do is I would use a spatula and try to get all the goodies out of the bowl.
Yeah.
Because again, you don't want to waste anything.
No.
Okay.
That's gonna go right on this one.
So there's a little one. We're gonna add it to the little one. Make it big. Now it's too big, but that's okay.
Okay, so that's going to be our savory one. So I have room over here where I'm going to show you I'm doing some fruit ones. So we have variety. And again, you're going to break your egg into a separate bowl. Thank you. So just like very lightly, because you don't want to crush the berries. For sure, the raspberries are going to break apart a little bit, but you want to try and get them covered in flour and mixed around. So
I just want to say something. It's starting to smell very good in here.
Yeah, I can smell that too. Yeah, it does smell good. So, and I also had my my milk with my vinegar and oil measured. And I'm going to add the egg. Okay, I'm going to mix that around. And then I'm going to add that to my flour mixture. So again, just make a little hole in the center, pour the wet in the middle. It's so nice having Lorraine help me. I think she should come on every ship with me.
I would like that.
Yeah. Whenever I'm in during a layup job or a fit up job, which means the ship is at the dock and not going anywhere, Lorraine comes and visits me, and it's so much fun. How's that looking over there?
We're taking out the.
Oh wow, they look really good.
So I'm gonna make a little spot here.
Let's
have
pause
to interrupt this
Yeah.
cooking process, baking process.
Oh, it's worth it though.
Yeah. So
Oh
they
my
are
gosh,
nice and
they
golden.
look really good. They look really, really nice.
If you can see, the edges are brown,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to try to tilt it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Looks really
it's nice
good.
and brown. Now, the sad part of these bars, you have to wait 2 hours before you can eat them. So again, we are going to wait the 2 hours. And when you cut them, you can pull them right out with the paper and you can cut them up. They last in the fridge, if they last that long, a week in an airtight container.
Yeah.
So we're going to put these aside.
So I'm just stirring
Oh,
my,
and one more thing about the bars, because these are not super sweet. They're delicious, but not super sweet, which is nice because you don't want a lot of sugar. But if you use, of course, commercial peanut butter has sugar in it. So if you use a natural nut butter, I would add a little bit of honey, the extra honey.
set the oven to
Set the oven
350.
to 350.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I've mixed together the berries with the scone batter, so we can cook them on the same tray that I prepared. So I only mixed half the recipe. So the same as the savory scones. I'm going to scoop them out.
Different from the cheese one, it is different because of the moisture in the fruit. The cheese is dry.
Yeah. And the guys love these on the ship. When I make the fruit scones, everybody that takes one with their coffee. In January was the Atlantic Huron, and when I made the blueberry scones, one of the crew, he said, "Can you make these every day?" And I said, "Yeah, I can, no problem." So I did. I made them every single day, and every single day they were gone.
I'm on the Atlantic Huron, and this is my last full day. I'm making blueberry scones this morning, and I thought, well, I've actually made blueberry scones every day since we got here. Like a lot of cooking, yes, you can have the recipe, but it's also about looking at it and adjusting as you go. So the consistency for the blueberry scones is quite thick, and when you put them on the baking sheet, they should stand up. If not, they're going to get too flat. So this is basically what they look like.
I like to add just a little sprinkle of sugar on top. So we're going to put this in the oven, and I know it's going to smell really good. I put the two trays in at the same time. So what I like to do is I will set the timer for 15 minutes, but in 10 minutes I will put the bottom one on the top and the top one on the bottom, just so that it cooks evenly. I like to use a cooling rack because the bottom of the scone stays nice and crispy. And I'm going to do an egg, and want the shape of the egg to be round so that it fits on the scone and makes a nice looking sandwich, nice tasting too. So you can, with a non-stick spray your glass container. Please do not use plastic in the microwave. It's not good to microwave plastic. Microwave safe bowl or ceramic bowl.
I don't use canola oil or traditional sprays.
Non-stick.
You could
put butter in. You could put a little bit of butter in.
You could put some butter. I would use butter.
Butter, because butter makes everything better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this in the microwave. I don't usually do the eggs in the microwave. I steam mine. But you want this to be simple. You've already made your scones and you want to make a nice, quick little breakfast sandwich. You can do that in the microwave. So again, always put your egg into a bowl that doesn't have anything else in it. So in case there's a shell. And very important, if you're going to microwave the eggs, you have to poke the yolk and the white. Poke everything, it doesn't hurt. So I'm going to put that in, and I like to do 20 seconds and 20 seconds because you don't want your egg to explode and go all over the microwave. So doing the egg in a round bottom bowl, you get a nice round egg disc. So going to keep that there for a minute. We're going to check on the scones.
So the timer has beeped and we're checking on the scones. Whoa!
What do you
Golden.
think? Oh yeah, they're beautiful.
So these are the cheese scones.
We're going to make our sandwiches with these.
And in your professional opinion, would you say?
Maybe a
Little
few
bit
more
longer.
minutes,
Okay.
on the top shelf. So these are really nice and light. Like these are really beautiful. So I really like these.
So
So
for the fruit scones, because they're a little bit wetter, because of the fruit, they need a little bit longer in the oven.
yeah. Now, you may not want to pick them up with your hands directly out of the oven.
Yeah.
But these are seasoned hands. I pick up a lot of things. My hands are used to it. So, but you could use a cookie lifter.
And you don't need to let them rest.
No.
Okay.
But
From
they're
the oven onto a wire rack,
yeah, a cooling rack.
a cooling rack.
So
Okay, let me pick that up.
yeah, that I won't pick up because that is really hot.
Oh, they smell so good.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, I tried to keep them round so that you would have a really nice looking sandwich. So before you slice it, you're gonna let it rest for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn your hands,
No.
and you don't want it all falling apart.
Right.
So we'll let it sit for a good 5 minutes, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Awesome. This is these are the savory cheese scones that we just put in with the ice cream scoop. So they're really nice and tall. So they're going to be nice and fluffy. And when you open them up, you're going to see lots of cheese.
So you can see the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
The flatter ones and the higher ones.
Yeah. So there is quite a difference.
Yeah.
So, and these were intentionally made a little bit flatter so that we can make a nice breakfast sandwich. So we've let these sit for about 5 minutes. When you slice them, because they are thinner, you have to be careful. Use a serrated knife, and always use your hand flat on top because you don't want to cut yourself. And you're just going to go around. And until you get to the other side.
Ready.
Are you ready? So here you have, look at that, and the cheese inside. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, look how they're still hot. They're steamy. So we're going to put the bottom part on the plate. So here I have the bottom part of my savory scone. And then I've got my egg.
And I just want to interrupt just for a second. Everybody's stove is different. My stove at home has a hot spot in the back. I have to spin things around.
Yeah.
So definitely, when there's a time for a recipe, definitely check it.
Yeah.
I would check it a few minutes earlier, or see if it needs to be turned around if part is brown and part is not brown.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's wiggle room with the timing, so you're gonna eyeball it.
Yeah. So I've got my round egg disc that I made in the microwave. And then I have my breakfast sausage. Then I've got my lid. And ta-da.
Yeah. You could put ketchup, you could put mayonnaise, you could put extra cheese, you can put...
That looks good.
Yeah, it looks delicious. You can throw some jalapenos in there,
Oh, yeah,
a
that would be good.
tomato.
You could
whatever
actually...
like.
Yeah.
You're limited only by your imagination. You can do whatever you want.
And actually, that's a good point, Lorraine, because in the dough, when you put the cheese, you can put little chopped up jalapeno in there, or you can put chives or herbs or anything like that you want to make it signature, make it your own. So definitely, like Lorraine said,
to what you like.
Exactly. Let's cut in.
And also, we are big on hot sauce. So we are definitely for breakfast on omelets and different things using hot sauce.
Yeah. And I like spicy mayonnaise on the ship. I make a lot of spicy mayonnaise. It's easy. It's mayonnaise, regular mayonnaise, and you just add sriracha sauce and you just mix it in until you have the flavor that you're looking for. The more sriracha, the spicier it is. So I often make that on the ship. So are you ready to look inside? I think that looks really delicious. Yep. I'm happy with that. And it sounds like something's coming out of the oven again.
Okay, I think this time we are good
Yep.
to go.
I think so too.
What do you think?
Yep, you can just set it on the edge there.
I'm gonna Slide this
Here,
here. Don't
these
burn
guys
your
over.
fingers. Good.
Nice having a big cooling rack. So just when they come out, I'm going to sprinkle a little more sugar. Oh my gosh, the berries smell good when you get this close to them.
Yeah, it smells really, really nice.
Yes, they do. Okay, so that we have those, and
I understand why the crew member wanted them every day. They smell so good.
yeah, they really do. So again, you may want to use a lifter, but like I said, I'm used to picking up hot items, and you can do this. So now we have our savory scones, our berry sweet scones, and then the scones that we made to make the breakfast sandwiches. So I didn't get a chance to show Lorraine, but let's have her look inside. What do you think?
Beautiful.
Looks good, doesn't it?
A thing of beauty.
So the scones you can eat when they're hot. You don't have to wait to cut them, but I'm going to say let's cut into one of these and see what they look like. Can you hear that? It's crispy. Crispy on top. Look at all those berries.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I think that looks really good.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I had a lot of
know a few
fun.
people that are going to be happy.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope that we were able to show you a few little tips and tricks as we went along. Lorraine and I often high-five each other when we're in the car or something. We did it.
We did.
And I'm going to put the email address. If you have any questions, you can always email us. We'll be happy to respond. And we hope you enjoy baking as much as we do. And
your family's going to be happy.
Yeah.
Your brothers and sisters are going to love it. And it should be fun. And actually do it as a family.
Yeah.
And when somebody's baking, the other people have to clean up.
Yeah,
right?
It's true. Like if one's baking, one's
one's
cleaning.
cooking, the other's cleaning.
Yeah.
I'd rather be baking.
Yeah. And I'd rather, and it, you know what? There's something about homemade, and it's like when you look at this, it looks so delicious. It was made at home, and you can do it too now. So I wish you all the best, and happy baking, happy cooking, and have a great day.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.